Sometimes we get used to our favorite character dynamics and relationships in the media we consume. But have you ever come across a show, video game, or other piece of media that had two characters who never interact, but all of a sudden have the most unexpected team up, and you think, wow, these two work really well together. I'm loving this dynamic. I hope the writers will pair these two up more, only for it to be a one-time thing. Well, that for me is between Espio the Chameleon and Silver the Hedgehog. You might be thinking, that's kind of random. They've been in the same game before? Well, it all starts with an obscure spin-off game for the PSP called Sonic Rivals 2. If you had ever seen fan art of Espio and Silver in your social media feed and thought, that's unusual, why are people drawing them together? Well, Sonic Rivals 2 is the ship's origin story. Yes, I said ship. I'll be completely upfront with y'all and say, I genuinely ship them. Their dynamic is so sweet and wholesome that you just can't help but root for them to be together. Admittedly, Espilver is one of my favorite Sonic ships. I am a sucker for a good wholesome romance, and also the wholesome friendships and family dynamics. I can't help it, it tugs at my heartstrings. I am a Super Paper Mario gal after all. Let me tell you, this ship is pure sugar. It's as sweet as cotton candy with a side of buttercream frosting. It competes with Sylvaise on the most wholesome Sonic ship. But I don't intend for this video to completely focus on the shipping aspect. I really want to talk about their interactions and why I think this underrated duo deserves more spotlight. We're going to take a break from the toxic, narcissistic family members and focus on a healthy and happy relationship dynamic. Espio and Silver's bond is a very refreshing one because these two are underutilized characters in the Sonic franchise. And I think it's really great when Sonic Team takes the time to explore other Sonic characters and not only give them their time to shine, but also room for development. Another reason why I find these two so refreshing is because this dynamic is quite unique in the Sonic series, especially during the late 2000s. In my opinion, they don't really share that same sibling dynamic that Sonic and Tails or Amy and Cream do, though their moments feel a lot more tender-hearted compared to Sonic and Knuckles, or even Amy and Blaze. It's also a nice break from Sonic's angsty and melodramatic rivalries. Silver and Espio were complete strangers before the events of Sonic Rivals 2. They had no history of going on adventures together, and yet they immediately clicked when they teamed up. There really is no reason for this relationship to exist, but it just does. And I'm really thankful for that. So grab your favorite beverage and snack, and let's take a look into Silver and Espio's history. As mentioned before, Sonic Rivals 2 was released on the PSP on November 13th, 2007. This game was specifically made for Western audiences and released only in North America, Europe, and Australia. It was developed by Backbone Entertainment and supervised by Sega of America. It was met with mixed reviews by critics and video game journalists, and there's not a lot of review coverage on YouTube. There isn't a lot of sales information for Sonic Rivals 2, which indicates that it didn't sell very well, unfortunately. In my opinion, Sonic Rivals 2 is a solid game, and I recommend that you check it out if you never played it. No, it's not perfect, but I think it's a good time. Sadly, Sonic Rivals 2 would be the final installment of the Sonic Rivals series. But in my opinion, Backbone Entertainment ended things off with a bang. Sonic Rivals 2 improved a lot on the quirks that the original Sonic Rivals had. Even though this was made for Western audiences, Takashi Iizuka was the head writer for Sonic Rivals 2. There are 8 playable characters and 4 different stories to choose from. We have Sonic and Tails, Shadow and Metal Sonic, Knuckles and Rouge, and my personal favorite, Silver and Espio. Around this time, Sonic Team was reworking Silver's story since technically the events of Sonic 06 were undone. So the Sonic Rivals games reintroduced him, though he still carries that brash attitude he had from Sonic 06. But you'll notice that Espio kind of mellows him out a little bit. In Sonic Rivals 2, Espio's character was consistent to how he was written in Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog. But this was the first game where we had a story specifically centered around him. Sadly, it would also be the last. Well, at least until Sega makes another game that focuses on our favorite chameleon. Sonic Rivals 2 does have voice acting, but the cutscenes are still images of each character. That's right, Team Sonic Racing was not the first to do that. In that strange sense, I guess Team Sonic Racing is an unexpected sequel to the Sonic Rivals series. I really enjoy the voice acting in this game, and I especially love the delivery of Espio's lines.
Accept your fate. My skills exceed yours. Victory was inevitable. You're going to lose.
You're going to lose. I love that line. I'm just gonna say it. Espio has a really nice voice. He sounds very handsome. Without further ado, let's dive into Silver and Espio's story. Vector sends Espio on a job to find out about the missing Chow disappearances. Vector suspects that our dear Silver the Hedgehog is responsible for the missing Chow, and he directs Espio to follow him. Midway through the conversation, Silver notices Espio and asks if he's seen any Chow. This causes Vector to immediately hang up, kind of like one of those situations when you're talking about someone and then they immediately walk in the room, so you have to change the subject.
Espio, do you read me? Ever since that hedgehog Silver showed up, Chow has been disappearing. It must be him. I want you to follow him and gather evidence. You've got to find some.
Leave it to me. I'll go undercover and see if I can tail him.
Hey, Chameleon! Have you seen any Chow around here?
Yikes!
Espio struggles to answer Silver's question, and Silver takes that hesitation as a confession. What is this, true crime?
Chow? Well,
You know where they are, don't you?
well, I mean, I guess I know something, but, well, no, I don't know.
Espio, you're really messing this up. Silver calls Espio weird, and Espio is like, no I'm not, and disappears. Now, Silver is searching for Espio. On top of that, Shadow and Metal Sonic are following them both. So, Silver loses Espio and has a confrontation with Shadow, while Espio gathers himself, but has to get Metal Sonic off his back. To Espio's surprise, he runs into Silver again and calls him by his name.
Ah, Silver.
So, you know my name, do you? Just who are you anyway?
My name is Espio. A mere citizen, I say not.
Ho, 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 ho. Look at what we have here. I do love entertaining guests.
Eggman Nega.
Eggman Nega?
Oh, right. Negative. So, there's this character that you might have seen in the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games named Eggman Negative. He's actually the main antagonist for the Sonic Rivals series, though it's also true that he was Blaze's antagonist in the Sonic Rush games. But aside from that, Negative is well known for being an Olympian in the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. Eggman Negative's plans are actually pretty dark in Sonic Rivals 2. He's looking for living Chow to feed to this being called the Ifrit, basically Iblis incarnate. The Ifrit is capable of destroying the world if it reaches its full power. So Silver is trying to collect all of the Chow to prevent Negative from feeding the Ifrit. After defeating the first boss, Silver loses Espio again, and he heads to Sunset Forest Zone to search for more Chow. But Espio still has his eye on Silver, and he uses his chameleon powers to blend in with the environment and spy on him.
I might have failed before, but this time, I'm going to make sure he doesn't see me.
Okay, Espio, where did you go? Well, fine, I don't need you anyway. Hey, there's a Chow. Come here, little fella. Where are your friends?
He doesn't seem like a bad guy, but he must have some connection to the Chow incident.
I find it cute that Silver calls out for Espio, but then says he doesn't need him and continues to search for Chow. This moment is a small turning point for Espio. As Silver is handling the Chow, Espio sees a different side to him and realizes that there might be more to the story. Turns out, Silver isn't as sketchy as he was first made out to be. Silver is very gentle and kind to the Chow. This intrigues Espio, and he continues to follow him as he learns more about the Chow disappearances. Before the Sunset Forest boss fight, Espio confronts Silver about the missing Chow. Without hesitation, Silver admits that he's collecting Chow for the sake of saving the world. This perplexes Espio, but they're rudely interrupted by Eggman Negative.
Hey, Espio, where did you go?
Silver, I know you're responsible for the disappearing Chow,
That's right, to save our worlds.
but that doesn't make sense. Why?
It's no use, Silver.
Eggman Nega, what did you just say? Here comes Sonic.
I'd like to point out that Silver typically isn't open to sharing his intentions in the Sonic Rivals games. So, for him to openly share his truth with Espio before they even team up says a lot about how trusting Silver is of Espio. After the boss fight, Silver and Espio regroup at Neon Palace Zone. Espio asks Silver to clarify what he meant about saving their world.
Where did Eggman Nega take off to?
Silver, what is this about saving our world?
If you want to save your world, we have to hide the Chow in a safe place.
You want me to believe that?
Yes, why?
Unbelievable as it may seem, for some reason I trust you.
That line is what made me ship them together. Even though they had just met hours ago and hardly knew anything about each other, Espio trusts Silver and wants to help him achieve his plans, even if it sounds crazy or impossible to other people. I feel that's the biggest appeal to this dynamic, regardless if you ship them together or not. The idea that you're trying to achieve something that might be overly ambitious and nobody believes in you, except this one person that you just met. Even though they know nothing about you, they trust you and believe in you. We all benefit from something like that in our lives. And that person usually isn't a stranger. It could be your significant other, best friend, sibling, parent. We all thrive from having someone who believes in you and supports you unconditionally. At this point, Silver and Espio officially team up and they go search for Chow to stop Eggman Negative. From this point on, Espio will follow Silver's lead and will help him where he best can. On top of having the Neon Palace boss, Silver and Espio have to compete with Knuckles and Rouge, a very popular Sonic ship.
How dare you try and relinquish my secrets! I'll punish you with my latest contraption!
Then bring it on!
Uh-oh, here come Knuckles and Rouge.
Come on, Espio! We can take them all on!
Again, not to get carried away with the shipping, but it really does feel like Espio is being the supportive boyfriend so that Silver can successfully accomplish his goals. When the two reach Frontier Canyon Zone, Silver is tired due to exhausting his ESP powers.
I need to take a rest.
So, what's going on? The mission isn't completed yet.
Eggman Nega is looking for Chow, as well as Chaos Emeralds.
Why the Chow?
Because the Ifrit he wishes to summon needs to consume them to become invincible.
It's going to eat the Chow alive? Incredible.
To be honest, my powers are almost exhausted. I'll need some rings to power myself back up.
Now I understand. Let's collect some rings then. Silver, do you hear someone?
Think you can help me? No problem. Come on, Tails. Let's go and round up some rings.
Silver, Looks like we might have our work cut out for us. Sonic and Tails are also collecting rings. Let's cut them off, then take the rings from them afterward. I'll go after Sonic.
Okay.
I like that Espio is being supportive without shaming Silver for being exhausted. He still tries to encourage Silver so that they don't lose sight of their mission. As messed up as this next sentence might sound, Espio takes Silver's health into consideration by letting Silver chase after Tails, the easier target, while Espio takes the lead in dealing with Sonic. When you think about it, Espio kicked Sonic's ass for Silver, a guy he met only a few hours ago. If that's not devotion, then I don't know what is. And Sonic stood no chance.
I will not be blackmailed by some ineffectual, privileged, effete, soft-penis debutante. You want to start a street fight with me, bring it on, but you're going to be surprised by how ugly it gets. You don't even know my real name. I'm the Lizard King.
That's right, baby. You don't mess with the power of pure platonic friendship with a stranger you met. Of course, this is where Silver calls Tails a half pint.
I finally collected enough rings for Knuckles and Rouge.
Thanks, Half Pint. I'll take those now.
Hey, what are you doing? Come back with my rings!
These two are partners in crime, and I love everything about it. After they steal Sonic and Tails' rings, Silver thanks Espio for helping him recover his strength.
Yeah! Seems like my strength is returning. Thank you, Espio.
Don't worry about it.
Wait, it's Eggman, Nega, Sonic, and Tails. Come on, Espio.
I love this interaction. Espio did all of this without expecting anything in return. He's just there to support Silver and save the world with him. If you have an Espio in your life, cherish them forever. Silver spots Sonic, Tails, and Eggman negative, so the duo continue on with their mission. After defeating the Frontier Canyon boss fight and kicking Sonic's ass again, Silver and Espio travel to Mystic Haunt Zone, completely different from Mystic Mansion. Espio finds another Chow, and Silver believes that they recovered enough to prevent Eggman Negative's sinister plans. Unfortunately, Eggman Negative pops in to throw a wrench in their progress, and lets them know that he already has a room full of Chow to feed to the Ifrit. This discourages Silver, and he feels that he was never meant to succeed.
I told you that your attempts were futile, Silver!
Eggman, Nega. What do you mean?
I've already acquired more than enough Chow to feed to the Ifrit. I've got them all sealed away in a hidden room inside that mansion. See you around!
No! We've come so far, but...
Silver, we can't give up. Let's go and find that secret room.
Even while things seem dire, Espio still encourages Silver and motivates him to keep pressing forward and not lose hope. Again, we thrive with having someone like Espio in our lives. They split off to search for the secret room, only to run into Shadow, Metal Sonic, and Rouge. Unfortunately, Silver and Espio couldn't find the secret room, but they got a lucky break because somehow all of the Chow were set free. However, Eggman Negative still managed to open up a portal to the Ifrit's world. So Silver and Espio go through the portal and land in Chaotic Inferno Zone, but unfortunately the two get split up. Both of them spot Metal Sonic 3.0 and they chase after him. The two finally catch up to Eggman Negative, and they have no choice but to fight the Ifrit along with Metal Sonic 3.0. But of course, Espio and Silver win with the power of pure platonic love.
At last, the future is safe once more. Espio, let's head back before the portal closes.
Okay.
Wait, you two! My legs are caught under this rubble and I can't move!
You reap what you sow, Eggman Nega.
Damn, Espio. Let Eggman Negative die. May he never appear in another Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. As Silver and Espio approach the portal, they thank each other and bid a bittersweet farewell. And it's so incredibly precious and adorable, and I gush over this cutscene all the time.
Thanks for helping me, Espio.
No, I should be thanking you. You helped to save our world too.
Well, I guess it's time to head back. I hope the new future is a happy one.
Be safe, Silver.
You too, Espio.
There's so many things I love about the ending. How Espio is once again being so kind and appreciative of Silver. And the way Silver slightly hesitates after Espio's compliment. I always felt that he's blushing at that moment. Silver wishes the future to be a happy one, and the two tell each other to be safe, and with that, they part ways. Pete Capella and David Wills did a phenomenal job of voicing Silver and Espio. Oh, and how can we forget Vector berating Espio on not documenting any evidence for his client? Give the guy a break, Vector. He just saved the world with the love of his life. I understand that Backbone Entertainment had limitations when developing this game, but it's a shame that moments like these weren't animated. We can only use our imaginations, but I've always been curious on what this sweet, wholesome moment would look like if it were fully animated. But Sega already spoiled us with a really fun story and a brand new relationship, so I can't complain too much. Silver and Espio's story ends off on such a sweet note that I couldn't help but wonder what their future looked like and if they kept in touch. The whole reason why I got a PSP was to play the Sonic Rivals games. Truthfully, I bought it for the Sonic and Shadow storylines, but stayed for Espio and Silver. One of the many reasons why this partnership fascinates me is because their interactions are so different from Silver's interactions with the other Sonic characters in Rivals 2. Sonic, Shadow, and Rouge kind of disregard Silver's worries and needs. Knuckles even calls him crazy at one point. This only makes Silver more agitated and he fights back. Espio was the only character that took the time to listen to Silver and trust him. And you can tell that it meant a lot to Silver. While Silver was stressed and had the weight of the world on his shoulders, he still expressed his gratitude towards Espio and treated him as his equal. Because Espio was so trusting of Silver, he took the time to explain what was happening. He also listened to Espio and let him take the lead when he was out of ideas. And while it seemed like Espio was doing the brunt of the work at times, I think Silver brought out his adventurous side, making this a team-up that Espio would never forget. In my opinion, Silver and Espio have one of the most equitable partnerships in Sonic. Again, it seemed like a very unusual pair, but their adventure made one of the most captivating Sonic stories during the late 2000s. As the Sonic timeline progressed, I was really hopeful for more Espio and Silver moments. Their story was so memorable in Sonic Rivals 2. I wondered how Sonic Team could follow up with that. Well, they both appear in another Sonic game called Sonic Generations. You might have heard of it. It's a pretty fun Sonic game. Do they directly interact with each other? No. However, there might be one subtle detail to analyze. After the Sonics defeat the Time Eater, everyone is transported back to Sonic's birthday party and they celebrate. Let's specifically focus on Espio. I'm going to slow down the footage because this is a blink and you'll miss it moment. When Espio lands, he directly looks to his right. Here we see Cream, Knuckles, Amy, and of course, Silver. Now, if we follow Espio's gaze, it looks like he might be looking at Silver. I know I'm grasping at straws. He could very much be staring at Knuckles or Amy. Cream also briefly looks at Espio, so who knows who Espio's really staring at. He is a chameleon, so maybe he's looking in different directions. He then does a cute little ninja pose, and we briefly see him staring to his right again. I don't think he's looking at Sonic. I think he's still looking to his right, because we see him look in that direction again, And then the next frame focuses on Silver with Blaze, Rouge, and Shadow. It would make sense that Espio is looking at Silver, because the last time they saw each other was when they defeated the Ifrit, which was probably a while ago in Sonic time. I know I'm delusional, but maybe he sees Silver and is happy that he's doing well. You can call me crazy, but I'll take what I can get with Silver and Espio interactions. If it is the case that he was looking at Silver, then it's really nice that he still cares about him and his safety. But they don't even talk. Anyway, I figured I'd bring it up. I want to make sure I'm being thorough in my analysis. But hey, at least they appeared in the same game, right? I was disappointed that Silver and Espio didn't really interact in Sonic Generations. I was wishing for another Silver and Espio story. I waited and waited, but there was nothing. Sonic Lost World, Sonic Boom, the 2014 and 2016 Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. Game after game had been released, but there were no Espio and Silver interactions. Was this just a one-and-done thing? If this was just a one-time thing, then why did Sega have them work together? How could they give us an amazing partnership and then just rip it away from us? Was this punishment for all of those so-called fans who complained about how Sonic has too many friends? I suppose that is fair. Those people acted so ungrateful. We really don't deserve a relationship dynamic that was so incredible. Well, on November 7th, 2017, Sonic Forces was released into the world. I was pretty excited for the game. I was really hoping for a darker Sonic story, and I was genuinely eager to make my own custom characters. As you all know, this game received a lot of backlash. And while I understand the disappointment, I still enjoyed my first playthrough of the game. Even though the story lacked substance, I was pleasantly surprised with some of the character writing and interactions. I was especially pleased to see that Silver and Espio were finally in the same room together at the same time.
Sonic is gone, Amy, and Tails has just lost it. If we're going to win, we have to do it without them.
Silver's right. We've been hoping for a miracle these past 6 months, but I'm afraid we have to make our own miracle.
Eggman's army has everyone terrified. If we want the people to rally, we have to show them that strength doesn't just come from numbers.
Espio acknowledged Silver, and he said that he was right. My heart was so happy when I watched that cutscene for the first time. Finally, after 10 years, they finally interact again. I always felt that this brief interaction was a callback to Sonic Rivals 2. Silver and Espio will occasionally talk through the rookie's communicator, and they're both fairly optimistic when they're around each other. In the big confrontation with Infinite, you can see Silver fighting alongside Team Chaotix. And to give Sonic Team some credit, I thought it was really great to see Silver team up with Espio again. Again, even if there wasn't a lot of substance out of it, it's really nice to see that they're still a team. Silver uses his psychokinesis to hold down the Phantom Ruby clones, while Team Chaotix fights them off. Aside from that, we don't see them directly interact again. Which is a bummer, but oh well. It's nice that we got a little update on their relationship and that they still work together in dire situations. All the love to Sonic Forces. Moving on. After the release of Sonic Forces, Sonic Team slowed down their production of Sonic games, to the point where fans got really antsy about the future and were becoming desperate for a new Sonic game, regardless of its quality. There was Team Sonic Racing, but Espio was not in that game, though Vector did team up with Silver and Blaze. And we know that Espio and Silver are not in Sonic Frontiers. it's still up in the air on what the next Sonic game would be and if Espio and Silver would even appear in it. However, video games are not the only artistic medium that focuses on Sonic characters. We also have the Sonic IDW Comics. Espio and Silver had a couple of brief interactions during the Metal Virus saga, but in 2022, the Sonic IDW team released their annual mini-stories that focused on different Sonic characters. Lucky for us, Silver and Espio share a tender bonding moment in the 2022 annual. The restoration team is harvesting all of the fruits and veggies from the garden that Silver and Blaze created a while back. Everyone is having a fun time and enjoying themselves except for Silver. He seems very bothered by something and decides to sneak off from the group. Right before Silver leaves, we can see Espio staring at him. He can tell that there's something wrong. His perfect boyfriend senses are tingling. Silver breaks away from the crowd and hangs around in the forest to catch his breath. Espio greets him, and turns out he was invisible the entire time, watching Silver in that brief moment. I like that Espio is direct and says, "You are troubled." It's not that Silver seemed troubled. Espio knew that something was wrong with Silver. Silver denies everything, but Espio tells Silver that he's also bad at lying, which is such boyfriend behavior. I like how Espio phrases his concerns, that if Silver is concealing some type of danger, he'd like to know about it. It reminds me of their ending in Sonic Rivals 2 and how Espio wished Silver to be safe. Silver opens up to Espio and shares that he isn't sure why he's even there. Espio promptly responds with, "Do any of us know why we're even here?" Silver tells Espio that he usually knows what his purpose is. He reveals that he's struggling with the reality that there is no crisis to solve and the future is just fine. Poor Silver is basically having an existential crisis. And you can't blame him, he's been in fight mode for all of his life. If there's nothing to change or save the world from, what is his purpose? A lot of people face these types of struggles. If I can't accomplish a specific goal or achieve this one thing, then what is my purpose in life? What does that say about me? It's a very difficult conversation to have with yourself, let alone with another friend, family member, or significant other. Quote, "Everything is fine, but I'm not." Reading that hits close to home for me. I can definitely relate to Silver and his worries. I would also like to point out the use of the color purple in these panels. I think the illustrators do a wonderful job symbolizing the characters' feelings through the use of colors. In this instance, I think the shades of purple we see represent Silver's fear and anxiety. In this panel, we see a mix of violet and black. I think in this instance, the color black could represent the unknown. So with this color combination of black and purple, it further demonstrates that Silver is fearing the unknown. Silver begins to panic. He wonders if he did something wrong or missed an important detail. I've been there before, Silver. Espio stops him and tells him to take a breath. Just breathe. I love this moment. It's so cute. I love the baby pink and dark blue color combination used in the background. And same, Silver. I also struggle to take deep breaths. Breathing is hard. After their breathing session, Espio opens up about his personal fears and that if he let them consume him, he already loses. And he's right. It's a losing battle to let your fears take over. Silver asks how Espio fights his fears. To be completely honest, Espio's response makes me tear up a little, but it's so applicable to your personal life. He tells Silver to have faith in yourself and your friends. And while we may not know our purpose or reason for being where we are, it doesn't matter because we are where we need to be in our lives. I don't know what it is about Espio, but he always manages to say the right things, at least when he's around Silver. Silver looks so happy and reassured by Espio's words of wisdom. It makes my heart melt. Espio also tells Silver that if he's in trouble, there are people who have his back, and he should go and enjoy the harvest because he deserves it. Ugh, these two are as sweet as pie. I love them so much. I also want to recognize the gorgeous background and the beautiful shades of blues and greens utilized in this area. This might be overreaching, but the background colors used in the forest match up with the gay/men-loving-men pride flag. If this was intentional on the artists, then it's quite subtle but a very nice touch. There are far more obvious examples of queer coloring and symbolism in other issues, so this isn't an isolated case. I also love the use of pink in contrast with the purple and black shading we saw earlier. Here, I feel the color pink represents happiness, warmth, and security. The color pink could also symbolize romance if you wanted to look at it that way, but regardless of how you view it, we see that Espio makes Silver really happy and reassured. Even though Silver is still scared, he knows that he's not alone, and Espio, Sonic, and friends make him feel that he could do anything. Again, this is all too sweet. And to top things off, Silver hugs Espio. This is what I wanted to see in Sonic Rivals 2. I really wanted to see them hug. Espio is very surprised by Silver's affection, but definitely not in a bad way. This is such a beautiful, tender moment. Thank you, Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley, and the rest of the Sonic IDW team for giving us this delightful story. Once again, Vector kind of ruins the moment and calls out for Espio to help him with Charmy. So Espio and Silver walk back to the garden together. One detail that stands out to me is that Silver looks pinkish when he's in the forest with Espio. Espio also looks pinker than usual. The artists intentionally selected these colors for a reason. Once again, I think the color pink symbolizes happiness, safety, and security. And yes, even romance. This was such a tender-hearted moment between these two, and I'm just overjoyed that the writers took the time to explore the connection that Silver and Espio share. Before we wrap up this video, I'd like to dedicate some time to share my personal experiences with the Spilver and the history behind it. So, I know many Sonic fans are quite opinionated on the subject of shipping. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you prefer Silver with Blaze rather than Espio. Unfortunately, there is some homophobia within the Sonic fanbase, especially in regards to the topic of shipping. To be clear, someone disliking this particular ship does not automatically make them homophobic. Though, in my opinion, it all boils down to the reasoning. A vitriolic response to Espio and Silver as a couple is more indicative of homophobia. If you don't like this pairing because you think it's gross that it's between two guys and not a man and a woman, then yes, that is homophobic and you can go kick rocks. We don't tolerate homophobia here, and that isn't what Sonic the Hedgehog is about. Sonic has always been about fighting against oppression and having the freedom to be who you are. Going back on topic, if you happen to not like this ship because you prefer a different Silver ship, or you just don't care for shipping in general, then that's completely valid and you're more than welcome to express that opinion. I just ask that everyone be respectful of each other. When I make my lengthy video essays, I always try to share my personal feelings on the topic because I want to be authentic and hopefully connect with all of you. And to those who disagree with my thoughts and opinions, I hope that I could still provide an insightful perspective. Though, from my experiences, most Sylvace fans are pretty chill and nice to talk to. So, I played the Sonic Rivals games for the first time in late 2012. I was 16 years old, and this was around the time where I fully came to terms and accepted my bisexuality. It was sort of an isolating experience at the time because I didn't know other bisexual people that I could openly talk to about my identity. The only thing I knew was the queer ships that I was hyperfixated on. Oh my god. I was a huge Bubbling shipper back in the day. This was when fans were saying, oh, Bubblegum and Marceline are just friends. Princess Bubblegum is gonna end up with Finn. The audacity. I was vindicated when they finally kissed. I was also a big Gortney/Gwentney shipper. Anyone here watch Total Drama? I was rooting for Courtney and Gwen to work out. I felt the sapphic energy even before All Stars. With all that being said, I wanted to see more queer representation in the media that I consumed. But even 11 years ago, queer characters and relationships in TV shows and video games were few and far between. So my favorite gay ships and headcanons were my coping mechanisms. When I finished Silver and Espio's story for the first time, I immediately felt the spark and heard the wedding bells. I thought that they should be together, go on more adventures, and kiss. So I went to DeviantArt because that was one of the biggest websites for gay shipping content back in the day. I looked up Espio x Silver, and I was happy to discover that I was not alone in viewing them as a couple. Now, Espilver did not have a lot of fan art in comparison to the bigger Sonic ships like Sonami and Sonato. In fact, in terms of popularity, Espilver ranks pretty low in comparison to other mainstream Sonic ships. However, I think it's due to the fact that not many people have played Sonic Rivals 2, so they have no idea that this wholesome pairing even exists. The other part of it is a lot of Sonic fans ship Silver with Blaze the Cat. Sylvaise is a very popular Sonic ship, and for good reason, they are cute together. In addition, there is a portion of the fanbase who ships Silver with Amy Rose, Shadow, and Sonic. As for Espio, he's mostly shipped with Silver, but I have seen fans ship him with Vector, Shadow, occasionally Knuckles, and Blaze, oddly enough. I don't know if Espio and Blaze have ever interacted in any Sonic game before. Do they even interact in the comics? What would their ship name be? Espaze? Blespio? That last one sounds kind of funny, actually. If we're just focusing on the gay pairings, Sonato takes the throne as the most popular ship, whereas Espilver still ranks fairly low. Again, I think it's just due to not many people knowing about Sonic Rivals 2. I genuinely believe that if Sonic Rivals 2 had more exposure, Espilver would have been a much bigger ship. However, Espilver has grown in popularity all thanks to the Sonic IDW comics. Obviously, there is a lot more fan art today than there was 10 years ago. Most of the fan art I see on Twitter and Instagram captures their cute and sweet dynamic, which only makes me want them to interact more. Again, I don't expect everyone to agree with me, and I'm certain that there are quite a few of you that don't view Espio and Silver in a romantic light. In fact, I've read comments on other fan art that have said, why can't they just be good friends and leave it at that? Friendship is also a great thing to focus on. I understand that sentiment, and I agree. I love friendship, it's a wonderful thing, and I do think that society puts a lot of focus on romantic relationships, when there's a lot more to life than that. Two people can just be friends, and not everything has to be romantic. But personally, Espilver is one of my comfort ships. Seeing them together makes me happy, just like how your favorite Sonic ship makes you happy. Though I do feel that if Espio was replaced with Blaze in Sonic Rivals 2, and there was no change in dialogue, I have a feeling a lot of straight Sonic fans would consider that to be a shippable moment. But that's just my opinion. There's something very Disney-esque about Espio and Silver as a potential couple. Their story in Sonic Rivals 2 feels like it could be a late 2000s Disney movie. I'm half joking, but think about it. The protagonist meets the stranger, they butt heads a little bit, but realize they have a similar goal, and they go on this whirlwind adventure. They fall in love, defeat the villain, and live happily ever after. The only difference is that the writers keep Silver and Espio's relationship ambiguous, since they maintain a neutral stance on the topic of shipping. Though the IDW team was definitely pandering to the Espilver fans for their 2022 annual. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Ian. One thing I noticed in Sonic Rivals 2 is that Silver sounds confident and enthusiastic when he's around Espio. In contrast, he sounds agitated and uptight when he interacts with Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles. Espio definitely seems to reciprocate Silver's ambitions and motivations. While there wasn't a lot of focus around Espio in the mid-2000s, I noticed that he's a lot more engaging and attentive when he's with Silver, in comparison to his demeanor in Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog. It genuinely felt like these two brought out the best in each other during their adventure. Espio's stoicism paired with Silver's strong sense of justice really complement each other. I like how Espio and Silver communicate with each other and that they treat each other as equals. When I was 16, I didn't have the words to fully articulate why these two as a couple resonates with me. I just thought that their interactions were super cute. But as I reflect on it, I realize it's because what they have is what I think a good, healthy relationship should be. Being with someone who supports you unconditionally, and even while things get tough and you're down on your luck, they're still loyal to you and encourage you through the hard times. That's what Silver and Espio have, and that right there is why I adore this ship so much. I also love that Espio manages to say the right thing and knows what he needs to do to help Silver. It's like his love language is a combination of acts of service and words of affirmation. And admittedly, those are aspects that I hold dear in a relationship. I'm well aware that I'm projecting the values that I hold dear in a relationship, and that's why I gravitate towards this ship in comparison to other Sonic pairings. It's interesting to see those qualities come up with these two characters. I can relate to some of the anxiety that Silver feels, but I also try to be supportive as I can, like Espio. And I also greatly appreciate when someone can step in and support me when I need it the most. So I can't help but want them to have their happily ever after. But I'm also interested in seeing how they would handle conflict and disagreements, since they already get along so well and always seem to be on the same wavelength. I'm sure there's someone out there that would make the argument that Espio and Silver could never work out because Silver's from the future. Well, I guess if you make that argument, then Silver and Blaze especially wouldn't work out. Because not only is Blaze in a different time period, she also lives in a different dimension. You know what? Disney made Phil and Keely from Phil of the Future work out, so Espio and Silver can work out too, damn it. Has anyone ever watched Phil of the Future? It was one of those Disney sitcoms that aired around the mid-2000s, along with That's So Raven and Hannah Montana. But Phil of the Future is kind of an afterthought because you can't compete with Hannah Montana. Anyway, as much as I love this ship, it's not my place to say that Sega should make a Spilver canon. By the end of the day, that's Sega's decision, and I'm just happy that this relationship does exist. To be honest, I don't think Sega would make any Sonic ship canon because no matter what, it's going to upset a lot of fans because their preferred ship was not the endgame. If Espilver was made canon, a lot of Sylvae's fans would be disappointed. Same with anyone who ships Sonilver or Shad Espio, or any of the other ships that involve Silver and Espio. This isn't me saying that Sega is anti-gay. Far from it. Sega is one of the few larger video game companies that is unapologetically supportive of the LGBT community, especially in Japan, and personally, I think that is far more impactful than making a Sonic ship canon. A lot of Sonic characters have queer attributes to them, and at times are gender nonconforming, and Sega doesn't make a big deal out of it, and they're extremely welcoming and supportive of their queer fans. Again, they make it clear that Sonic is all about having the freedom to be yourself and to fight for equality. Regardless, I do hope that Sonic Team can explore this relationship in the future, especially now that fans are wanting other Sonic characters to play a more prevalent role in the franchise again. and I really hope it stays that way. I always felt that the criticism of Sonic having too many friends involved in the games was such a bad faith criticism, because part of the appeal of Sonic is his relationship with other characters, and also how we connect and relate to certain Sonic characters. I sound like a broken record, but Silver and Espio are so underrated and really unique. This is a duo that has so much potential. I'm really hoping we get more moments between these two. But in the meantime, I will enjoy and appreciate what is already there. Thank you all so much for watching this relationship analysis. I want to give a very special thank you to Razzie for making the incredible artwork for the thumbnail. They blew me away, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to work with them. Please check them out on their social media and show them some love. Links are in the description. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm not the fastest content creator, but I try to put a lot of thought into the video essays I make. I have a lot of ideas planned for the future, so I hope you stick around. Also, please let me know your thoughts about this video. Do you like Silver and Espio as friends, or do you ship them? Or is this your first time hearing about their interactions? Regardless of how you view this relationship, I know that shipping is a very delicate subject in the Sonic community, so I ask that you please stay civil in the comments. This channel is headcanon friendly, so don't be afraid to share any of your personal headcanons and favorite ships. If you are a fellow Espilver shipper, I hope you draw more fan art, write more fanfiction, and make more edits. It's time that we dethrone Sonato as the most popular gay pairing. It's Espilver's turn to shine, baby. To end things off, we are still in the month of June, and I hope that everyone is having a happy Pride Month so far. But I understand that it may not feel very happy for us right now. It is a scary time in America for queer and trans people due to all of the anti-LGBT legislation, and with bigots becoming increasingly hostile and violent. I just want y'all to know that you're valid, and I unequivocally support you. I want my channel to be a safe space for all of you to express yourselves and not have to worry about getting attacked for it. I feel that it's the least I could do. And as Silver the Hedgehog would say, let's fight for a better future. Stay safe out there. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.